They smiled at you this morning, just like always. But something felt different. Maybe they walked slower than usual. Maybe they didn't recognize your joke. Or maybe, just maybe, your gut told you something's changing. When our loved ones age, they don't always say when something's wrong. In fact, the most alarming signs that they're nearing the end? They're usually subtle, quiet, easy to miss. But not today. Because in this video, we're going to talk about 7 signs that an elderly person may be in their final year of life. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. So you can notice what others might ignore, and most importantly, be there when it matters most. Let's get into it. 1. Low energy. One of the earliest and most noticeable shifts in an elderly person's final year is a slow, steady decline in energy. But this isn't just about being tired after a long day, it's much deeper than that. People who were once full of life might start sleeping well into the afternoon. They may take naps throughout the day, even after a full night's rest. Activities that used to be part of their daily routine, like taking a walk around the block, folding laundry, or watering plants, start to feel like huge tasks. Often, these tasks are quietly skipped or done with visible effort. Even conversations can become tiring. You may notice that your loved one struggles to stay engaged. They might zone out in the middle of a story or fall asleep while watching TV. Over time, even answering simple questions or greeting visitors can feel like too much. It's not that they've lost interest in you or what's happening around them. It's simply that their body no longer has the energy it once did. This gradual slowing down is the body's way of protecting itself. The heart doesn't pump as strongly. The lungs don't fill as easily. Muscles lose their strength, and even brain activity slows. All of this combines into a feeling of heaviness that's hard to explain unless you've lived it. For many, just getting from the bed to the bathroom feels like climbing a mountain. Emotionally, this decline can be frustrating, not just for the person going through it, but for their family too. It's hard to see someone you love become a quieter, slower version of themselves. But understanding that this isn't laziness or giving up is crucial. The body is quietly conserving its strength. Every small movement takes effort, and every ounce of energy becomes precious. Instead of trying to get them back to normal, try adjusting the pace. Let them rest as much as they need. Make small moments count, like sitting together in silence, holding their hand, or offering a gentle smile. These gestures speak louder than words when energy is low. 2. Eating less. Food often tells us a lot about someone's health, especially in their final year. If your loved one begins to eat significantly less, or not at all, it may be more than just a change in taste or appetite. This change can start subtly. Maybe they leave food untouched on their plate. They start refusing snacks they used to love, or they take just a few bites and say they're full. Over time, entire meals go uneaten. This isn't about being picky or losing interest in flavors. In many cases, the body is simply slowing down and no longer requires the same amount of fuel. Digestion itself takes energy, and when the body is trying to reserve that energy, eating becomes less important. You might notice that even when they do eat, they tire quickly, or say that chewing feels like hard work. Some people also experience changes in how food tastes or smells. Favorites suddenly taste bitter or strange. The texture of food becomes uncomfortable. Swallowing might become difficult, and they may even choke or cough while eating or drinking. In some cases, they'll say they feel nauseous, even if they haven't eaten. For families, watching someone stop eating is incredibly painful. We're raised to believe that food is love. Feeding someone, offering them a warm bowl of soup, baking their favorite cake, is how we show care. So when they push the plate away, it feels like rejection. But it's not. It's the body's way of preparing to shut down. During this stage, the focus should shift from nutrition to comfort. Offer small sips of water or juice. Try soft foods like pudding or applesauce. Let them decide when and what they want to eat. Sometimes, just the presence of a loved one at the table is enough to bring them comfort, even if no food is eaten at all. 3. Withdrawing from life. A quiet, often unnoticed change that comes with the final chapter of life is emotional and social withdrawal. Your loved one might start pulling back from the world, and this shift can be so gradual that it's easy to miss. Maybe they stop reading the newspaper. Maybe they don't call their old friends anymore. The television stays off. Their once active mind, full of curiosity and conversation, turns inward. At first, you might think they're just having a bad day. But over time, the pattern becomes clear. They seem less interested in what's happening around them. Holidays, birthdays, or even family visits don't spark the excitement they used to. They may sit quietly in a room, staring out the window or resting with their eyes closed for hours. They're not asleep, they're just somewhere else. This withdrawal isn't necessarily a sign of depression, though it can look similar. Instead, it's a natural part of preparing for what lies ahead. It's as if their mind is beginning to let go. They often reflect more, talk about childhood memories, or ask about people who have already passed away. Some will even say they've had dreams or visions of long-lost loved ones. These moments may feel eerie, especially if you're not ready to accept what's coming. But for the person experiencing it, this inner world can bring peace. Instead of dragging them back into the present, try stepping into their world. Ask about the past. Listen to their memories. Be present, even in silence. Sometimes, the best gift you can give is simply to sit beside them, holding space for whatever they're feeling. 4. Getting sick more often. As we age, our immune system naturally weakens, making it harder for our bodies to fight off infections. However, if your elderly loved one starts getting sick more often, even with mild illnesses like colds or stomach bugs, this could be a subtle sign that their body is in its final stages. It's not just about catching more colds, it's about their bodies increasing difficulty in recovering from these common ailments. Small cuts or bruises may take much longer to heal. Minor infections that would have been easily fought off in the past could now lead to prolonged recovery periods, or even hospital visits. It might seem like they're always battling something, even if it's something as simple as a urinary tract infection or a mild fever. What's more alarming is how quickly they tire from these infections. Something that once would have passed by without much thought now leaves them exhausted and worn out. As the body begins to slow down, the immune system doesn't have the strength to fight infections the way it used to. Each illness, even if it seems minor, can leave them weaker and less able to bounce back. You might notice them feeling unwell for longer periods or being bedridden after a mild cold. It's a subtle but powerful indication that the body is losing its strength. For caregivers and family members, this can be especially tough to witness. It's frustrating to see someone you love so tired and vulnerable. And when repeated trips to the doctor or hospital become part of the routine, it can be overwhelming. But try not to despair. Instead, focus on making them as comfortable as possible. Provide emotional comfort, like sitting by their side when they're not feeling well, and keep their environment calm and peaceful. 5. Confusion or speaking strangely. Another common sign that an elderly person may be nearing their final year is confusion or speaking in ways that don't make sense. This is particularly noticeable when they forget simple facts or mix up names and places. For instance, they might call you by someone else's name, or perhaps they talk about events that happened long ago as if they were current. At times, they might seem to speak in a way that doesn't align with the situation at hand, referring to a past home they lived in, or describing people who have already passed away. This type of confusion is a natural part of the dying process and can often be attributed to delirium, a state of acute confusion that occurs near the end of life. It is different from dementia, which is a more long-term condition. Delirium comes and goes, and is usually linked to a drop in oxygen levels, metabolic changes, or even medication. As the body slows down, the brain follows suit, becoming less capable of processing information in a coherent manner. You might also notice that they seem disoriented, forgetting the time of day or their current location. Some elderly people, in these moments, will express confusion about who is with them or talk about seeing loved ones who have already passed on. While this can be unsettling, it's important to remember that these experiences aren't necessarily alarming to the person. They might not realize that they're confused, and they often find comfort in the memories or visions they are experiencing. When you notice confusion or strange speech, try to respond calmly. You don't need to correct them, instead, acknowledge their feelings. Offer reassurance in a gentle tone. Sometimes just sitting with them, offering a soft touch, or sharing a memory from the past can help them feel less disoriented. This is a time when your presence and patience are more important than anything else. 6. Sudden burst of energy. This sign can be a bit more surprising, especially for family members who have been witnessing a slow decline in their loved one's energy levels. It's known as the rally effect. After a period of fatigue, weakness, and withdrawal, the elderly person suddenly seems to have a burst of energy. They might sit up, talk more clearly, or even engage in physical activities that they've been avoiding for weeks. They might want to chat, watch their favorite movie, or even ask to go out for a short walk. While this sudden burst of energy can give the impression that the person is improving, it's often a sign that their body is preparing to shut down. This final surge of vitality typically doesn't last long. It's a temporary rally that often comes in the last days or hours of life. Some people experience this burst of energy and clarity just before death, and it's often a peaceful and quiet time for them. For family members, it can be both confusing and bittersweet. You might feel hopeful, thinking that this is a sign of recovery. But it's important to understand that this is not a recovery, but rather the body's last attempt to reconnect or communicate before the end. If this happens, try to make the most of the moment. Share a memory, tell them you love them, or have a heartfelt conversation, knowing that these may be some of the final meaningful exchanges you have. 7. Changes in breathing and body functions. As the body prepares for the final stages of life, one of the most noticeable physical changes is the way a person breathes. Breathing can become more irregular, shallow, or labored. You may notice periods where they stop breathing for a few seconds, followed by a few deep breaths. These changes are part of the body's process of slowing down. The breath may come in shallow gasps or irregular pauses, and this can be distressing to watch. Another physical change that might occur is a drop in body temperature. Their hands and feet may become cold to the touch, and their skin may begin to turn a bluish or pale color. This happens because circulation is slowing down, and the body is no longer able to distribute warmth as it did before. You may also notice that they become more frail, and their muscles may feel weaker and softer. In some cases, people near the end of life will also stop eating or drinking altogether. This is the body's natural way of conserving energy. You might notice that they no longer show an interest in food or drink, or that they are simply unable to swallow. They may sleep much more than usual, not waking up for hours or even days. This is not necessarily a sign of distress, but rather a sign that the body is beginning its final journey. When these changes happen, it can be a source of worry for family members. The rattling breath, the cold skin, the irregular heartbeats, they can all feel like signs of pain or struggle. But the truth is, these changes are not necessarily painful. Instead, they are the body's way of shutting down in preparation for what's to come. Offering comfort, sitting by their side, and maintaining a calm presence can help make this process easier for both them and you. Understanding these signs can help you prepare and offer the best care during this challenging time. For more tips on elderly care, don't forget to check out our other videos.